Introducing LT Defense Tactical Gear, your ultimate solution for top-notch protection and performance in the field. Our armor bundles provide unmatched safety and comfort, while our battle belts and holsters ensure quick and easy access to your gear. Stay prepared for any situation with our high-quality medical supplies, designed to keep you ready for action at all times. Looking to enhance your skills? Our firearms training programs will take your proficiency to the next level. Trust LT Defense for all your tactical gear needs and gear up for success on the battlefield.
Military Broadcast Radio, the station that's giving veterans a voice.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. I'm Amber.
And I'm Alora.
And thank you so much for joining us tonight. We have a very special guest tonight, and I'm super excited. It's my cousin, Audra Joyce. I call her Shelly, so throughout the interview, I'm going to call her Shelly, but her real name is Audra.
Mm-hmm.
And we are going to get into her incarceration at Chillicothe Women's Prison for 25 years. So let's get into it.
Interview of the week sponsored by LTD Tactical.
Hello, Shelly, and welcome to Into the Weeds podcast.
Hi.
Hi, I'm excited.
I know, I'm excited too. So we are going to get into the weeds really tonight,
Right.
and talk about your life and your incarceration. And I'm hoping that we can start a conversation with you about
Shed a light on the prison system
Yeah.
and all the things that go on with that. Maybe
prison
talk
reform.
a little bit about prison reform, and maybe at the end we'll get into a little bit of gossip.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Sounds great.
So
Sounds like a normal day here at Chillicothe.
Sounds about right.
So can you just tell us a little bit about who you are, Audra, Shelly, and how you grew up and what led you down the path you're on now?
Okay, my name is Audra Joyce. I was charged with in 2019. I was charged. My house was raided. I was charged with a Class A trafficking charge.
Mm-hmm.
I controlled substance, which was some Xanax, and then a guns charge.
Okay.
Possession of firearms, I guess it would be. I can't remember exactly the same charge.
Mm-hmm.
But and I was out on that, and I was sentenced on in 2021.
Mm-hmm.
And up to that time, I had a lawyer. I actually did bond out after 17 days of being in the county jail. Bonded out in that was on May 1st, 2019. Bonded out on the 17th or 18th, and but then that went on for 3 years. And on August 11th, 2021, I was sentenced to a 25-year sentence, 4 years on a gun charge and 7 years on the kill charge,
Mm-hmm.
which of course it was ran concurrent, as they call that. So I will do the 25, but I do a percentage on that, and I think every case is different. So I don't go see the board till 2027.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah, and but so we'll stop right there. And I actually, let me say that I had a year prior to that. I actually my house was raided. I wasn't home at that time. I was charged then also with a just a possession charge that they found, and then a one volume. And I got, but I wasn't charged with that from the first one till a year after I had been here and actually incarcerated.
Wow.
So it was 4 years on that one. So the one I'm setting on currently, the 25 years that trumps them all, is was my first felony on that, and that was for a Class A trafficking, and that was for 140 grams of methamphetamine, which would be about equivalent to 5 ounces. So the first one was 49.49 cents. In the drug world, let me say there's like less like a half a gram, and then
wow.
So, but that first one is the one that does it all. And so I'll go into. I'm sweating. I'll go into a little bit about my childhood. I was born in Fort Sill, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
Grew up in Lawton. My mom was actually from Carthage, Missouri, but moved as a child to Lawton, Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
My dad was from North Dakota, and he got to Lawton. He went to Vietnam and came to Lawton, and met my mom there. I'm the baby of 8 children from my mom, and I'm the only to my dad. So, as you can suspect, maybe a little spoiledness in there. Always a very headstrong child. I wasn't expected to. My mom says I wasn't expected to come into this world. There was a lot of difficulty, so I come into this world fighting. So I'm strong. That's what I said. And so I was raised. Let me say, with a lot of strong but dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
My dad coming out of Vietnam as a young man. The man he went to Vietnam with. The man that went to Vietnam was not the man that came back.
Yeah.
I've heard a lot of that sort of thing.
Yeah. So whatever he was, whoever he was, whatever he knew, died.
Mm-hmm.
And that was left over there. He came back with a lot of heartache, pain, hurt, confusion,
Mm-hmm.
and a habit.
Yeah.
And that was developed over there. So, and then my mom, was raised in basically in Lawton there, and at 28 years old with 8 kids, I was her 8th child.
Wow.
So there was a lot of from childhood dysfunction and their things. But I'm not saying that there wasn't love. There was love.
Yeah.
There was love. Yeah, most definitely love. And so they didn't last long. They were separated, but I always had both in my life.
Mm-hmm.
My dad I was always able to go with him. There was never no argument, never no, anything like that. Was he around all the time? Like a punctual father? Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
But was he a good father to me? Absolutely. He loved me. My mom had to work, of course. She had at this point, she only had the 5 kids. The 3 other ones were with their dad. And so, her life to me and what I know, had a lot of heartache, pain coming back, trying to take dysfunction into a relationship and trying to find happiness, unhealthy it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So, for her, I know that just like for me, that all she wanted was, to find somebody that loved her and support her, and not support her financially, but just to be that person there that she needed.
Yeah.
So I grew up with a large family.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where my dad married your aunt.
Yeah.
And your family became my family, and so that was my you guys were my family on my dad's side, and and my mom come from a very large family.
Mm-hmm.
My great grandma had 16 kids, and you can imagine that
Wow.
none of them had less than 5 to 8 or more kids. So
That's
we come from a
crazy.
very large family. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when my grandma died, there was 250 some direct descendants of her. So you can imagine what it is now.
Wow.
But my parents actually owned a bar when I was born. So, but that was soon lost with drinkers in the family and friends and everything else. So I always say it went from the bar to the backyard.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah,
Yeah,
and go ahead.
so everybody was around all the time. We grew up with a Mexican, on the Mexican side culture,
Mm-hmm.
and had a lot of good times. But my mom soon later remarried and was remarried for a long time, and there was a lot of pain and hurt. And as any child knows, that when you have alcohol or anything else like that involved around kids, not every person is there for the playing Barbie dolls with kids. Let me say that.
Yeah.
So there were things that happened to young girls that shouldn't have happened, and I was one of those.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a junior high girlfriend, and ended up being my friend, through high school and all those things. And she, her brother, was, sorry, he was gonna did groom me, I guess,
Oh, wow.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And we went to church with him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first time that's ever been spoke out loud. So
I love you.
I love you too. So I grew up that child, but I was a very strong child.
Mm-hmm.
So I did things very young, that looking for the right love in the wrong places.
Mm-hmm.
When I didn't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Just wanting some type of help in.
Mm-hmm.
But so I started smoking cigarettes at 11. Started smoking pot very young.
Wow.
Lost my virginity around them ages too. And so I was a cool kid.
Mm-hmm.
I was a very tomboy. I had a go-kart. I wore boots and jeans, and I was proud of it.
Sounds fun.
And if a guy told me he liked me when I was, I didn't really like that so much. I had to be the picker or whatever, but yeah. So I got in trouble in junior high at Central Junior High for smoking, and just was very, very, very strong child.
Mm-hmm.
And then at 16, right before I turned 16, we moved back to Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the first time that my mom thought, and my stepdad thought, that would be it was a small town, Carthage, Missouri, that they would get us out of the city and away from everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that what they didn't realize, they were taking us away from everything we knew.
Yeah.
And for me, that was my father.
Mm-hmm.
That was my father that had been in my life.
And your family.
And my family, all my family. And, Carthage was a small town. So my stepdad, he was a black man, but he spoke fluent Spanish.
Mm-hmm.
So you moved to a small town from a big city, and it was culture shock. It was really culture
I
shock.
bet.
I'm
We
sure.
didn't grow up with prejudice. We didn't grow up with stereotypes. We grew up, and, everybody was everybody. And it was what school you went to. If you went to, like, Lawton High, then you didn't hang out with people from Eisenhower. Or you didn't hang out with people from MacArthur.
Yep.
And that's how it was. They were our rivalries. And so went to that school, and already, with a head that I wasn't going to like it.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, the first week in school, I got with the partiers.
Yeah.
And, at 15 years old, that's what I started using meth. I was already doing everything else, and in this little small town, we just wasn't accepted, really. It was prominently white town, and it was hard. It was rough.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't have much to come with that town with, So I got in with those kids, and it was cool. And it wasn't very long. I was fighting. I was getting kicked out of school, and I was partying, and I was doing everything I can. And so I quit school.
Mm-hmm.
Quit school. And by the time I was 18, I was already in rehab for alcohol. Yeah. And it was then that I decided I wanted to go back to school. It wasn't really that I wanted to quit school. I just wasn't accepted in that school. And so I went back to Oklahoma and graduated. Went to live with my dad for the first time. I graduated.
From Lawton High.
From Lawton High. Woohoo!
Is that where you went to?
Yes.
Yeah, I went to we went to Lawton High. You know, in Central, my junior high, where my mom and my uncles and
me,
everybody went to school at too. So that was
my grandma.
That was that tradition for us. And so when we moved to Missouri too, you know, my sister was just a year older than me, and my other sister was a couple years older than me. She started having babies. My great grandma had passed. And then not too long ago, we had some other people pass, and it was just a hard time for us. Life as we knew it wasn't no more, and I was out of control. But anyway, so going back to I went back to Dad's and graduated, and it wasn't long after that, and here I was in high school. I was working, and at ROTC, got ROTC Cadet of the Year. Got picked out of 10 students to go in the state of Oklahoma with the governor. But, it's always a strong child, strong but functional here, and I was, drinking then, going to the bars. I was already 18 and, 11th grade basically. So, and I had met up with another friend that she actually came back to go to live with her aunt and uncle, and she was 18. So we could go to the strip clubs or anywhere else in Lawton at 18 at that time.
Sounds like a good time.
And I remember you, Shelly, partying. I remember.
Were you there too?
Yeah.
No.
She's
So I
older
started
than you.
young.
Yeah.
I started young, but I worked. I did these things. Like I went to the motions very well. But so I went, and so after I graduated, went back to Missouri. And I know now that this has been a lifelong thing of mine, going back and forth,
Hey,
so I went back.
Hold on, Shelly. Actually, we've got to go. We've got to take a commercial break.
Okay,
so we're going to do that. And then when we come back, we'll talk about Missouri and what led you to where you're at now. So
all right,
stay tuned, everybody. We are going to listen to Soldier's Son by Matt Oakley. Matt Oakley is actually going to be a guest of ours on the 28th. And so we're excited.
It'll be the 28th or the 29th, because the 28th is Saturday.
Oh, 29th. My bad. 29th. It will be a recorded episode, so it won't be a live. But here's Matt Oakley with Soldier's Son.
Well, he spent 22 years in the army. We talked Alpha, Bravo, and Charlie, and what I learned from him's worth more than anything anyone's bought me. That camo jacket with our last name, still in my closet to this day. There ain't enough money in the world you can give me to throw it away, 'cause I hold on to pictures and memories in that shadow box with everything still in it. Whenever he talked, I listened. So fly that flag in your front yard as high as you can, except for when we lose one defending the land of the free. We're in the home of the brave, and pour one out for the ones who never made it home. Say a prayer for them mama as if she was your own. I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. Yeah, I'm proud to be a soldier's son. And those cassette tapes he mailed home, I'd rewind them all night long. 'Cause when I closed my eyes, I felt like he wasn't gone. And Mama did the best she could, raising 3 kids while he stood on the front lines from dawn to dusk in a gun-smoke skyline. So fly that flag in your front yard as high as you can, except for when we lose one defending the land of the free. We're in the home of the brave, and pour one out for the ones who never made it home. Say a prayer for them mama as if she was your own. I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. Yeah, I'm proud to be a soldier son. Yeah, I'm proud to be a soldier son. So I hold on to pictures and memories in that shadow box with everything still in it. Whenever he talked, I listened, and he said to fly that flag in your front yard as high as you can, except for when we lose one defending the land of the free. Boy, you're in the home of the brave. So to this day, I pour one out for the ones who never made it home. Say a prayer for their mama as if she was my own. I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. No, I can't wait to tell my boys about the wars we won. Yeah, I'm proud to be a soldier's son.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at inmate.us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. That was Matt Oakley with Soldier's Son. That was just released yesterday, I think. Maybe.
Wow.
Or the day before.
Oh, what a good song. I love that.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah.
And so for anybody who's just now tuning in, we are talking to my cousin Audra, but I call her Shelly. And we're talking about what has gotten her to where she's at now, incarcerated in Chillicothe, prison for 25 years. And I did want to clarify to everybody, Shelly and I are not only cousins by her dad marrying my aunt, but then also my dad lived with her mother and her father and was raised by them for a little while, and they actually signed the paperwork for my dad to go into the Army. So, and also her uncle Benito, it was my dad's best friend. So
very, very well entangled.
yes, we have a very
It's
crazy
a lot
family.
more complicated than that. That was like the most simple way to put it.
That is it.
That is the most simple way to put it without getting into weird shit.
That's really getting the weird. So, in telling this story, I don't, there's a lot being left out, but I just want to, really talk about where so many lives are taken, and where we go and where we're lost at.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we left off, coming back and forth to Missouri.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I went to Florida, went with a brand new car, boyfriend, and, I know one of my things is, from boyfriend to boyfriend, just trying to find something. But ended up, coming back from Florida on a bus, lived in Key Largo, and came back on a bus, I think maybe 70, 80 pounds with another,
Wow.
developed habit down there, and come back, and that was ending. At this time, I'm 24 years old, and ended up not too long after that moving back to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
And there's where life takes a turn for me,
Yeah.
And I'm talking about a turn that's a pivoting point, So anyway, so being back down there, of course, I got a hold of our Uncle Bruce, and went down back to my dad, got a hold of Uncle Bruce, got a house, was working a couple of jobs, and had a boyfriend from Goodyear Tire Plant, and I had another probably a couple boyfriends, a boyfriend from my high school that I went to junior high with in Lawton, and his name was Miles Moore. And after a night of partying at he had some words with people for a while, I guess, and was at my sister's house, and they came in, and I was actually sitting. We were sitting on some stairs. I was sitting in between his legs, like in his lap, and arguments. The guys came in and they started to fight, and the guy pulled the gun, and he was murdered right there.
Wow.
Yeah.
So 25 years. I guess maybe I was 24. He was 25, and so that here I was already strong but dysfunctional. So here you go. Put that in the midst of it, and still trying to survive. And I left right after the funeral, went back to Missouri, trying to grasp what just happened, and didn't even know that I didn't know what had happened. Didn't know that and at this point that even some of my memory was gone. The shock of that, and it was years before I ever dealt with that. But let's say that. So not too long after that, my brother had worked with a guy, and I talked to him when I talked to my brother, he would be on the background on the phone when I was in Lawton. But anyway, that guy started coming around, and he wanted me to meet his grandma. But in order to meet his grandma, I had to go to church and go to dinner.
Okay.
So we did that. And let me tell you something. I went to church that night, and I came out a different person. But I felt like they'd read my diary. They were dialing my number, as they say, And I got saved that night. And that was like the first time in my life that I heard about Jesus, really listening for myself. But we were raised around Catholic, and we were sometimers. We sometimes went to church if it was a holiday, and there was a lot of, family around. And if you were in my family, you know what happens when a lot of families around. There was always a lot of drinking that was around.
Yeah, and fighting.
But we made it to church.
Yeah.
Whether beer cans were falling out of the car or not, we made it. But so I never. So at that point in my life, it was a change in life, and I wanted it, and so we ended up getting married. That was July 29th, 30th. When Miles was murdered, and so just November 29th, here I am getting married.
Wow.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you.
I did not realize it was that
close
soon.
proximity. Yeah.
Strong but dysfunctional, and this is what we were both taking into this marriage, wanting something different. And everything left me at that time. I went to wearing pants to not ever wearing them again for years. And here I was searching. I was doing all of it. I was doing the 3 W's: the word, the worship, and the witnessing. But listen, I was no different than the woman at the well. I knew very little about the man I worship.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't rooted. And so, with the marriage and him back on the back to drugs and things, and so I actually had my first son. 2 years later after that, I had Chance. And that's what his name's Chance. He was a 1 in a million chance. And so bring kids into that now, And then our marriage was not working very well, and we were struggling. Living in Joplin, Missouri. I went back to Oklahoma again to have Chance. Came back because I wanted to have Chance in my hometown where I was born. Came back to Missouri 6 months after Chance was born, and bought a house in Joplin. And we were just trying. And Sonny, came from a family that was very well-to-do. So he always had that silver spoon. If we wanted a house, we had it. If we wanted a car, it was there. And but he never had healing from his childhood, and it doesn't matter where you come from. If you can come from the richest family, to the poorest family, there's dysfunction in them all.
Oh yeah.
You know, his dysfunction in his family, as well as they were, made my head spin sometimes, and I'm sure mine made theirs. So,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, we were doing it and doing Bible studies and doing all those things, and you know, pretty soon it just wasn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
Infidelity and things like that, and so I got hurt in the church. We were out. He was gone. I got pregnant with Kate right at the end, right there. Got pregnant with Kate. His grandpa had died, and I got pregnant with Kate. And
Mm-hmm.
you know, here comes Kate. But we were. It was pretty much the end of it. And so he left, and he ended up going to prison. Listen, I left him because of his drug habit. Now look where I'm at. But you know, so after that, I tried. You know, left that church and tried, and it just nothing. You know, I'd walk into church and everybody was like praying for me like I'd never been in church before, and it pretty soon just goes, you know. And I knew it wasn't the spirit.
Mm-hmm.
But again, let me say this because I wasn't deep rooted. I was, like I said, going through the motions, but wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
And so tried that, got some inheritance actually from a little bit from his family, bought in another town. You know, I didn't want my kids to go to Joplin School. I had those two boys, and again was already in another relationship. So I'm right there at that point. I was working at the hospital, wasn't making it. You know, couldn't afford child care, and he wasn't around. His great grandma was helping me. His grandma was helping me. My boy's great grandma, but it just I went back at that point. I actually invested.
This call is from a correctional facility and may be monitored and recorded.
And making money, you know, off of that. And then pretty soon just went back to the things that I knew, making money. But here's what comes with that. Even if you're just doing that, here comes the habit again.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where it was. I moved to bought a house in Chillicothe and a building down there, had big hopes and dreams. Dysfunctional. Wasn't going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I was living a pipe dream. But and, you know, back even then, I just was holding on to God, but just, you know, was so far away. So my mind was so dysfunctional. I just couldn't grasp on anything. You know, my kids started kindergarten over there, and Kate started Head Start, and, you know, they were in soccer, they were in T-ball, they were in flag football, but I was not functional, you know. And then pretty soon here come the bigger moves and the things like that, and, you know, unhealthy relationships. And so that just went on. It just went on till, you know, for years. And I stepped back in church a little bit and stepped out. And then in 2006, I met a guy that I dated right before I left Joplin, and got with him. And the first night we got together, I got pregnant. So pretty soon, not much after that, I got married again. And here I am pregnant. And, you know, was in church a little bit, moved to Mount Vernon, and, you know, started going back to church. But, you know, so we got married. I moved to Jasper, Missouri. We had Remington. So I have 3 sons at this time. But I was still so damaged, so dysfunctional, you know, and I had tried over the years to go to counseling, you know, and it just felt like I was repeating my story over and over again, and, you know, with no result. So and then at that time I got addicted to pills. And that was a whole nother thing, addiction, you know.
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to ever walk away from. And here I had 3 sons, you know. Scotty was in and out. Me and Josh were unhealthy. You know, we just got pregnant. We got married. And we knew each other for a long time. But it just wasn't good. And so here we go again. We get a divorce. I met a guy right after that, and ended up dating him, moving to Golden City. You know, we didn't have no children, but actually we ended up having a marriage, but we signed in the wrong places. We got our marriage license in Oklahoma and didn't stand in Missouri. So anyway, but you know, stayed with him. We got back in church a little bit. And you know, that love was different. Tim was very different. He was very attentive to me, not like the others, but a very soft, you know, Christian man that, you know, he was raised up in a Christian home. He went to Christian college. He was one of those kids that never had drank or cussed or anything like that until he was 18 years old. So there's a different side in him, you know. But after that, it went all south for him from things in life. And so here we are, two dysfunctions again. And so I was still doing the same thing that Audra had always done, back and forth. And looking for love and bringing dysfunction into a relationship and thinking that we were just going to live happily ever after. Well, so, you know, here I was. I had a wreck with my kids. I had lost Remington when he was 3. I had the boys, and my boys have been through so much. I hurt them so bad. You know, and they can both tell me, Mom, you're strong, but you did things, you did what you had to do. And I didn't do what I had to do. I just did what I did, you know?
Yeah.
And we wasn't without houses. We wasn't without anything, but they were without me. I was gone. I was checked out, so to say. So I moved after me and Timmy had lost I had worked, volunteered, and we moved to Lamar, Missouri. Well, I lost my apartment, lost everything. Here I am, and we were living at his mom's, digging my clothes out of a basket. First time I'd been without a home, I think, since I left home. And I was living on his mom's floor, and it just hit me. I'm not doing this. I said, I'll be back. I went down to my brother's, and, you know, I didn't ever go back. And I went somewhere else and made some calls, and I'll never be without a home again. And that's what I did.
Yeah.
I did what I did, what I knew how to do, you know, and I got me a home. I still own that home today. I gotten 3 DWIs from 2009 to 2010. I lost my license for 10 years. So, you know, and that was with the pill habit in that time. You know, one divorce, another man, a pill habit. But so it just, and pretty soon, and Lamar right there in my house, I lost the kids to their dad. Well, he lost them, then we lost them to the state, and then because I UA dirty, they went to my sisters, and then I went through everything and got them back, and they came back to live with me, and I was doing that. You know, I got to buy my kids cars, and you know, we had a home, and I just said that I would never do that again. But it wasn't like I was with me and Timmy went back and forth for years, and you know, another dysfunction, and you know. And that period that builds up to where I am today, right now.
Okay.
But it was right before. So a year in 2021. Now I was sentenced in 2000.
Let's actually get into that after we take a commercial break.
Okay. All right.
We're going to play "Sacred Flowers" by Blue Mountain Tribe, and I'm going to warn everybody, Shelly, you can't see the graphics, but it made me cry. And the first time I watched it, hopefully it doesn't make me cry this time, but it is an indigenous tribe. It's a Native American tribe, and they're singing about the missing Native American women out there.
We're at the perfect stopping point, aren't we?
Yes. So we're going to listen to "Sacred Flowers" by Blue Mountain Tribe. Stay tuned. Right. We'll be back.
is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother. Earth is crying for her daughters. Where have you gone? Who took them from us? Who stole them from us? Sacred flowers. Sacred flowers, sacred mother. Earth is crying for her daughters. Sacred flowers, sacred mother. Earth is crying for her daughters. Blooming life on the res, bringing light to our lives. You are missing your mist. Sacred flowers.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at inbradio.us.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. And we're speaking with Audra Joyce, a prisoner in Chillicothe Women's Prison here in Missouri, and who's on a 25-year life, or not life sentence. Oh, goodness. It might as well be 25.
It's close.
25-year sentence for trafficking.
I mean, it's longer than I've even been alive.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I think that song was perfect. Beautiful, beautiful.
I know, and
Absolutely.
especially, us having ties to the Native American community. And you're part Native, aren't you?
Yes.
Okay. I remember
We're a Mascalero Apache.
You're what?
I think it's Mascalero Apache.
Mascalero Apache. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
yeah. Go ahead.
that song it was a good point to where we stopped at a while
Mhm.
ago. I'm fixing to start talking about right before I came in here, July 25th.
Okay.
So the year before I come in here, I was turning 50 that year.
Mm-hmm.
God has a funny way to wake us up sometimes.
Yeah.
So any woman listening, I know that or your mothers can tell you when you're turning 50, something just happens.
Mm-hmm.
You start looking at life differently. Life is just different. Something in us changes. I don't know. But so that year, starting in May, my boy's uncle was in a severe car wreck. He was in a coma.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would go to the hospital and sit beside this man and talk to him while he was in a coma and pray. And it was a hard time.
Mm-hmm.
They had to take off half of his skull, and they were going to take him off life support. Well, and in this time, my son's girlfriend was pregnant. I was fixing to have my first grandchild.
Mm-hmm.
So about this time when they were going to take him off life support, I was upstairs with them while they went down and signed the papers. And when they came back up, he woke up. So I watched
Wow.
God do a miracle.
Wow.
I watched God do a miracle.
Wow.
A month
That's
later,
crazy.
I had my first grandchild, Kate Maverick,
Mhm.
daughter Nun, on June 25th.
Mm-hmm.
A month later, to the day, July 25th, my niece that my mom raised,
Mm-hmm.
that was raised around me like a daughter,
Mm-hmm.
she lost her life.
Mm-hmm.
30 years old. And so in a 3-month time, I watched God bear a life,
Mm-hmm.
give a life, and take a life.
Yeah.
So life was really different at this point, and I didn't know how to grasp it. And then this time, I had to take for my DWI to get my license back. I started some online. It was Zoom then. That was when COVID was still going on.
Mm-hmm.
Did 5 hours, a meeting. But in that time, I saw an article in the paper, and with the Missouri Extension Office, and it was boost your memory. I thought, the free class. I think I'll sign up for that.
Mm-hmm.
So I did that. Boost your memory. Did that, and it was talking about Alzheimer's prevention. Prevention, dementia prevention, and a healthier you, boost your memory, and healthy eating. And this was a Zoom class. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Loved it. And then I took another one, boost your memory, a healthier you. And so in that, and that was when, I guess, maybe that was before Jessica had passed. I'm just trying to think about this. Sorry about that.
No, you're fine.
So that started on me on something else. And so I was in a relationship again and had been there with this man for a little while.
Mm-hmm.
And he was different. Very hard man, but he didn't cuss.
Mm-hmm.
He was a farmer, but he too had an addiction, But he didn't cuss at me. He never hollered at me. He never screamed at me, never hit me. So that was a first for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so life was just different. And I had a counselor at this time. And I had a counselor. And if anybody, I talked about counselors repeating the same story. Well, when you get a good counselor, and this man was like, well, I want you to do this week, and I want you to tell me how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to start practicing this, and then tell me how, So a good counselor will always have you doing that, and I will say that. And
Mm-hmm.
I had maybe one other counselor that did that now, one other time in my life, but that was short-lived. They went to another job. So but that counselor helped me, and I kept up with him for a couple years before I came to prison. So in that time, and so it was, just that was a shocking point, man. That was the first immediate family we had lost.
Mm-hmm.
And we watched Jessica go through it. We watched her go through it. She came, another one of them come into this world fighting, and she
Mm-hmm.
left fighting for her life.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say on here what happened. I mean, it's not, I don't think this is the place to do it, but
Yeah.
whether it was intentional or unintentional, we don't know, but she's gone, and that's it. And that's where I have to leave it. But so life, it started to wake me up.
Mm-hmm.
And come to prison, and then so that was July 25th. August 11th, a year later, when I was so like I said, sitting in that courtroom, my family was all there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know I was going to get finished 25 years. My lawyer that I had, we stretched it out over 3 years. He was acting like that was my first felony. I was going to get a 120, and he at some time he may have said, maybe 15 at the most, but I wouldn't do any of that,
Mm-hmm.
So I was pretty sure. I didn't even lock my house that day. I was pretty sure that I was going home.
Wow.
And so that didn't happen. As everybody knows, I was sentenced right there. I had to leave the courtroom right then.
Mm-hmm.
But I had slowly, in this time right there, I had stepped back in church too. I went back to the church that me and Tim had went to, and that I walked out of.
Mm-hmm.
So God was already working on me. and I didn't know it. He was already preparing me. I didn't know it. So in that day, I tell you, a peace come over me. I was more worried about my mom and dad. My son was there. You know, there was a lot of people there, and it wasn't what anybody was expecting. But I left right then. They took me to Carthage and then to Nevada, and on September 1st, I went to Vandalia Correctional Center. And I wasn't there about 45 days, so I tell you, I came here to Chillicothe. I think it was maybe October 1st. I can't remember. But I've had a peace on me. And like I said, the Lord was already working on me, and I didn't even know it. My sister asked me, what'd you do when the door slammed? I would have cried all night, but I didn't. I never have that night where I cried all night. I've had a peace, and His hand has been on me since I walked here. So that was October 11th. I got accepted into a women's empowerment program. Women's empowerment. And on that board over there, in what they call R&O diagnostics, or whatever you want to call it, it said, communications class, resiliency, codependency, conflict management, assert yourself. So there was 9 classes altogether, and I thought, man, I need that. I need that. So I signed up for it, and I took that class. And I tell you, codependency was an eye-opener for me. It was an eye-opener.
And
so I got in.
And you've taken that class now 15 times, right?
I think so,
in
yeah.
2 years.
Because I am the first person that I got to stay on there. They come to me and they asked me if I wanted to stay and be a mentor. And I said, oh my, wow. Yeah, and I'm still here today. I'm still in women's empowerment. But I've taken a lot of classes here, and prison, it is what you make it.
Yeah.
They offer a lot here. But you know what? Anybody could take these classes, but not everybody really wants to. Not everybody, it's just the same for everybody. So I got into that, and I got into over there in Vandalia. While I was there, I got to do a weekend class, what was it called? You Are Somebody Prison Fellowship weekend class over there, and I did that, and that was great. So, but let me tell you, when I went to, let me back up a little bit. When I went to Nevada, when I was in county there, I got a Bible there. And I told the Lord right there. It was just 3 days after I went to Carthage, went over there. And that's when I picked it up and I was done. I stopped cussing that day. I stopped cussing that day. And I took that Bible and I started reading it. I started reading it. And another lady, there was a couple other ladies there. Well, we started reading together and we started meeting at the table. And when I went to Vandalia, I still had that Bible. And when I started reading there, and I'd get up at 4:30 in the morning when it was all quiet, and I'd sit out that table and I'd read for hours. And then in the afternoon, I'd read for hours. I didn't engage in the cars. I didn't do any of that things, but I read. Anywhere I went, they called me the church lady. And I read and I read. And for the first time, I read that Bible all the way through. And I haven't stopped.
How hard was it to read the Bible all the way through?
Well, let me tell you, I went to a church service and I heard this before a long time ago. When I was in church before, we went to all kinds of conventions, went to see all these big people and went all over. But I heard this somewhere before, and one of the ladies at Vandalia that come and minister there said, if you start to read the Bible, start in the New Testament, read it through 2 or 3, 4 times, That's what I did. I did just what she said. And it just started feeding me, but I was ready. I just started feeding me. So I read it 2 or 3 times. Then I started in the Old Testament, and we had tablets here now. So well, I guess they didn't a long time ago, but they've had them for years. But anyway, tablets, we had a Pando app. Just started feeding myself. I started feeding myself. And I'd been in church all them years before, back in and out. So when I started reading it, it started coming alive. And that's what I started praying. Make this alive to me, Lord. Make it alive to me. And it is alive. And I didn't stop. And I started getting books. I've read 28 Christian books since I've been in. But yeah, and I'm on the fourth time of reading the Bible all the way through. But it'd be my seventh time on the New Testament.
Now, let me ask you, how many times did you actually read when you were out of prison?
I didn't. That's what I say. I was like the woman at the well. I knew very little about the man I worship. And that's what it is. I wasn't rooted. I wasn't rooted. I was that shaft that had been blown away in the wind, and I was with every direction. I was with every direction. Blessed is the man. We think of that scripture right there. Blessed is the man that walks not in the counsel of the ungodly, nor standeth in the way of the sinners, nor sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But listen, but his delight is in the law of the Lord, and in his law he meditates day and night. That's where it took me.
Yeah, it did. And now you're running class. Well, not sponsoring classes, but it's facilitating classes, and you're on a board or something like that with the warden, or what?
Yeah, I'm on the inmate council. Inmate council. I got a list here. If we have time to go through it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So women's empowerment. I'm a trained facilitator for groups, and that's by the state of Missouri Correctional Center. There was 20 women in there that did that. I've taken victim impact. I've been in 2 years to celebrate recovery, and I got a certificate. I've completed grief share. I did a boundaries weekend class. I've completed rec weekend, and I just got back to go back to rec weekend and be a weedie, which would be a table server. I've completed balanced living that is no longer offered by the Department of Corrections. I have a certificate in Crossroads, which is out there that you can do that too, Crossroads Ministries. I did a Bible study, and now we can't get correspondence back in. It's a whole lot of paperwork, and it's hard to get. So, but I did the You Are Somebody over there in Vandalia. I've got 75 hours restored to justice. I've been accepted into Ashland, and I'm hoping I got all my FAFSA filled out, and I'm hoping to get in there this week. I worked in.
Great.
I worked in the recreation. I've been a lead dorm sister. I helped with Ken Krog that you've interviewed before with AA here. Wonderful man that keeps us fed, not with only on our recovery, but with the word and the foundation of AA. I completed Courage for My Life. I'm the web mentor now, still am. I have a K-Light, which you can do it out there. K-Han is an educational video thing, and you get 750 points per video, and I have 360,000 points in K-Light.
Okay,
so
awesome.
Yeah, I love the education. These things are things I walked away from, and it started with those little steps. But I completed a 1-year school with Fellowship Academy. This was the first in the state of Missouri. They are very well known in Oklahoma, Illinois, and Minnesota, and I think Wisconsin. I've been on the Inmate Council Board, and Inmate is with your housing unit. Like, I live on a 8-house D-wing. I was the one that went back with the thumb and the caseworkers and told them things about what goes on, what we wanted or people wanted from my wing only. I've held 2 purpose-driven life Bible studies. Awesome. I was in the Christmas play here. I was accepted to the Christian banquet. I completed ICVC, which I want to go in a little bit detail about that later. But anger management, and now I'm also on the executive council, like what you said. That is with the warden, the assistant warden, the deputy warden, and the major. And what that is there's 8 houses here, and I think 4 or 5 of the houses have 2 people picked from each housing, and we have papers that we bring to the wing that people sign up, and that's for the camp. So we wanted to canteen questions, medical questions, whatever it may be, are. So we take that, and that is a staff referral, and I was nominated for that, I guess, and I got to move from inmate to executive, so that's a very high honor.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that. So, and like the facilitator offender, being a trained facilitator, that too was staff referral. So I'm very honored, and and now, actually, by being a trained, I'm in my 3rd anger management, facilitating anger management. I am going to start tomorrow morning, actually, facilitating ICVC, and I am currently in another class, which this is the first one in the state of Missouri, is a cognitive self-change.
Okay.
So that one is when I saw that, I'll tell you a little story with that. I saw that a little girl saw it on our bulletin board on our wing and said, "Miss Joyce, what's that?" I said, "I don't know, but it sounds good. I'll find out. I want that class." So the next morning, she came and she said, "Are you going to find out about that class?" I said, "I got it written on my hand." I said, "I want in that class." So I go back in the back and where weapons is held on, and the class is back there. And one of the caseworkers said, "Miss Joyce, a few months back, you had a lot going on and wanted to wait. You had a lot going on. You wanted to wait to get in class. I'm starting in a couple new classes, and I want to know if you want in." I said, "What are you teaching?" And he said, cognitive self-change. I said, "You mean that, what I have written on my hand right now?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Yeah, I want that one." So listen, so like I said, I watched the K-Life videos, and this is a part of me getting healthier, and I started doing this before I came in with the other classes I took, routine, schedule. So I started that then, and I've carried that over into here. And so on that K-Life video, that's something I do, routine. It's every 5 days a week, I watch a video. So listen, I'm on my 472nd video that very same day that he stopped me, the very same day I wrote it on my hand. And 472nd video, 3,054,000 points. And lo and behold, what do you think that video's on? Self-cognitive change. I was like, what?
Wow. It sounds like you've done a lot more in prison than I've done in the last couple years, free as can be. But this has been a really good conversation, but I think we're going to have to go ahead and get into our next break. So this one is going to be What's Left of Me Now by Cade Roth and the Black Sheep, who is another person that is a cousin that's not really a cousin connected through marriage. Connected through marriage.
Yeah, but he's Sarah. This is Sarah's husband, Cade. Our cousin Sarah's husband, Cade.
Yeah.
Cade Roth and the Black Sheep. What's Left of Me Now? And we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
All right.
Here we go.
Window daydream numbs my mind. Turn on the lights, I'm still blind. Speed up, slow down, wheels keep on spinning. I play the game, to the test. I've been high, I've been low, I don't know where to go. I've been lost, I've been found, I've been spinning around. Here's what's left of me now. Butterfly, broken soul, 500 miles from my home. Can you save me from this hell? Can you save me from myself? I've been east, I've been west, I've been put to the test. I've been high, I've been low, I don't know where to go. I've been lost, I've been found, I've been spinning around. Here's what's left of me now. I've been east, I've been west, I've been put to the test. I've been high, I've been low, I don't know where to go. I've been lost, I've been found, I've been spinning around. I've been east, I've been west, I've been put to the test. I've been high, I've been low, I don't know where to go. I've been lost, I've been found, I've been spinning around. Here's what's left of me now. What's left of me now.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at inbradio.us.
Welcome back, everybody, to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. And we're speaking to Audra Joyce, my cousin, and we call her Shelly. So just in case anybody is confused. So I think, Alora, you had some questions for Shelly?
Well, I was just listening to all these programs you were listing off of, and I guess this is more into like the T section that we were talking about earlier. But so is every single prisoner that is in Chillicothe Women's Correctional Facility offered therapy? Is it an option? Is it something you have to qualify for, or is it something that every single person that's imprisoned is open to take part in?
You're nobody's mandatory to do anything. You're offered it. You're offered it.
You're offered it.
Sign up for it. But here's the thing. Here's what I see, and I went one time, but I don't want to go to a counselor. You know, you go once a month. you don't have enough time to spend with them.
Mhm.
It's I see a lot of people. I'm trying to put this in a where I'm not, stepping on toes or whatever, or
Yeah.
hurting anybody, government feelings.
Mhm.
But so here are any other inmate feelings either. But so you can go, but I see what I see from my point. So I'm going to use I statements. I see a lot of people on a lot of medication that doesn't need it.
Mhm.
I get that. That's out here
and
too.
here's another thing. Yeah, and you have these people that would maybe come in here that maybe they needed it. I'm not saying that they don't
Mhm.
need it. Some of them,
Mhm.
but then they get out there and they're not going to keep up with it.
Mhm.
And then whatever it may be, and it brings them back. And I don't think a lot of them are being monitored enough to know. And
Yeah.
you go over there. Then if you don't go, what they have here they call CDBs or whatever. But so if you don't make it to your appointment on time, you get a write up. And
Mhm.
we have counselors over there that fall asleep during people's meetings.
Oh, I hate to hear that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The reason. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, all I was going to say is the reason why I had asked is because whenever Gypsy Rose had first gotten out of prison, she went on the Kardashian show and she had a little sit down conversation with Kim K. And something that she had mentioned is that she had applied or something to that effect for therapy in prison, and that she was turned down and said that because of her situation that she didn't qualify for it. But what you got in trouble for is a lot less life altering than taking a life.
Mhm.
So I would think if you can get into all these programs, whether it's counseling or something different where you're bettering yourself, you'd think that someone that went through such a
Traumatic.
traumatic experience, that she would be the perfect candidate for therapy. So I
Right.
just figured I would ask somebody who knows and is actually there.
And here's what that is. If I go, so this is ask you questions. Like I said, I went the one time. They were like, well, for me, they didn't understand. Like, why are you here? Like, why are you here for so many years? I'm like, they didn't understand it. Like, there's people that did way worse than me. They got a lot of less
crazy.
time, and I'm like, I don't know.
Mhm.
But when they talk to me, I think I'm a pretty sound mind.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But so when you go over there, you got to tell them really, I think, what you got going on. Why are you here? What is it? Like any other counselor. So here's the thing. As well as I do. I could go over there and tell them, oh, well, they told me I think I need a little counseling, but I think I'm all right. I think I'm all right. I think I'm good. I think I can handle this. And like anybody else, what would they tell you? Well, all right. No, then I don't think she needs it. She says she's all right, and that's what I perceive happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you guys heard it here first, folks. You get counseling, therapy, classes, anything. You might have to apply for certain things from what it sounds like, but it sounds like it's pretty accessible.
Mhm.
And it's like out there, get involved. And this is one thing I told myself. I could come here and I cannot take any classes.
Mm-hmm.
We see the recidivism rate here. As everybody knows, it's astronomical.
Mhm.
Really, it's sad that it's that high. But it's a matter of getting involved. I could sit here and work in the kitchen and not do nothing, or I could, and I'm an auxiliary photographer in the visiting room now. I could, just have that job and not have to take any classes. But all this stuff is offered to us. All these things are offered outside too. I'm going to take advantage of whatever they have to offer me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to allow this time to do me. There's no reason, and I'm going to say this, with do love, because there's no reason that anybody should leave this prison without a bunch of classes under their belt if they're doing more than a 1-year sentence.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have a girl that lives a door down to me. She actually, we came in RNO in Vidalia, and then she went home, and she didn't do nothing in that time, but she's back here now, and in a year's time, I think she's on her. This time though, she's on her her 7th or 8th class, and she's doing them.
It's great to hear.
So And if you hear, if you know, to me, if I hear people that are here and they haven't done these things, it's actually it's sad. It it,
Mhm.
it 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 it's sad that they're willing to leave this place without taking advantage of what this place
Mhm.
has to offer. You
Mhm.
know, and even if you're in medical, you know, if you're the therapy things, there's a whole another abundance of classes they offer. You know, they even now offer, you know, about you know, prescription pills, like medication things,
Mhm.
and they offer depression classes, they offer anxiety classes, and they offer, you know, all kinds of classes over there. There's a whole bunch, there's a whole list that I haven't even been involved in, you know. So there's so much more.
Mhm.
And to think that somebody would come here and not do those things, and you know, somebody that was here for 6 or 8 years and only has a few classes, well, what were you doing with your time?
Mhm.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
no.
could lay
Yeah.
I could lay in my room and watch my TV, but I'm, you know, we are what we feed ourselves. Whatever we are feeding ourselves in our head is where we're at.
Yeah.
So many of these classes are cognitive behavioral therapy,
Yeah.
and there's not a one person, whether the crime was murder, drugs, sexual, you know, with an SO, or you know, whatever, you know, robbery, whatever it is. There's CBTs needed.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the reason Alora was asking, like she said, is because Gypsy had said that she didn't have access to therapy,
That she
and
was straight up denied. It
uh,
wasn't even just that she didn't have access to it. She said that to something to the effect of that she applied for something and she was denied, or that she had asked and she was told no.
Mhm.
So
Okay.
and
So they do classes on aura scores, but there's low aura scores. Like for me, of course,
Mhm.
I'd be a high,
mhm.
but you
what's an
know,
aura score?
an aura score, and I'm not really exactly sure. But so
Okay.
I think you're like it, you're to repeat. Like my roommate
Mhm.
is a low aura. You're on a financial crime, you know,
Mhm.
and so she's never been in trouble before. She's never had any other tickets or anything like that. So she's a low aura.
Mhm.
But she's in 3 or 4 classes right now. She's in WP. You know,
Mhm.
she's encouraged for my life. She's in group share. She's in life skill. She's done um, uh, a journaling class. So, and she's only been here since March of last year, and
Mhm.
she's already in all those classes. So
That's good to hear.
So there's no excuse.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the one thing about, you know, being a mentor in WP, now we, like on Tuesdays, I come out, before we go start, we do classes Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. You know, like I said, this place offers 9 different classes, but I come out and I speak to the women and I encourage them to get involved in everything. Get
Mhm.
involved, take advantage of everything this person has to offer. Don't be a part of the problem, be a part of the solution.
That's
Mhm.
good.
And you know, there's if somebody wants it, believe me, they'll find a way to get there. And I've seen it with my own eyes that
Mhm.
women that were even low aura scores, like, well, how do I do this? Well, keep talking to your caseworker.
Mhm.
If you can't get your caseworker to do it, talk to your thumb. Hey, if I couldn't get my thumb to do it, I'd write a letter to the warden.
Mhm.
So if there's a will, there's a way, and we know that.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Wow.
Now, what's it like being in there with all those high profile prisoners? I mean, you've got Pam Hupp, Gypsy was in there when you were in there. Diane Stouty, I think is her name.
Yeah.
Alyssa Bustamante. What's it like? I know that when you first got in there, you were like thoroughly just so upset with everybody because you were like, these people just don't know how to act. And it's like, Shelly, where are you
It's
at?
prison. It's not exactly like the
Yeah.
goody two shoes.
Well, here's here again. I'm gonna use an I statement. Here's my perspective on it. We all wear khakis. We all wear khakis,
Mm-hmm.
and so sometimes it takes a minute to notice. But if you're out in the yard, you see the people that move or shake or whatever you want to call it, you know. but it's up to you where you want to be. And here, if people that have those things, are they getting involved? Are they wanting that self? Are they wanting that change? You know, and these things like this and doing these things like this speaks volume.
Mm-hmm.
I think it speaks volume to me as an inmate, and I think it should speak volume to them as a thumb or a caseworker.
Mm-hmm.
And so seeing them, you see them in passing, but sometimes if I am ever close enough to hear their conversation, sometimes some people's conversations are not even worth listening to. Let me say that.
Yeah.
Nor do I want to. You just move on.
Mm-hmm.
Understandable.
But if they're active and they're involved and they're in our jail, if they're a lot of places here you can volunteer to do things, and I think she's what is it? A teacher, not a teacher, a tutor.
Okay.
And, these people that are getting involved, that I think that speaks volume.
Mm-hmm.
People that lay around and don't do nothing, there's the recidivism rate right there.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely see some people back.
Right.
Back.
Well, maybe not there. But.
Yeah, maybe not there, but somewhere.
We'll see.
A lot of people, they go out of here. They don't care. Here's a thing about the treatment center here, ladies. The treatment center. I think it does a lot of CBT from my understanding. I've never been there. I've heard people say they love it. I've heard people say they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But when you have remember Chillicothe Correctional Center, correctional. If we're in a correctional center with a treatment center with a 2% recovery rate,
Mm-hmm.
there's something broken.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But here's my understanding about that place. I can go over there. I'm not allowed to say God. I can say higher power. If I say God, I can get in trouble and get rode up. What?
That's ridiculous. That shouldn't.
Yeah.
Isn't it freedom of religion?
Yeah.
And freedom of
And
speech?
I said, did you have to sign something like that? You're not going to say God? And they said, no, they'll correct you, and if they have to do it. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to go over there,
Mm-hmm.
But then again, you have a lot of inmates that are just coming off the streets, going over there, facilitating other inmates, and from my understanding, it's a dog eat dog world over there. But so you can't in some wings you can bring your Bible out to your day room and read, and some wings you can't. I'm like, what? I don't understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand that. And,
Probably whoever's in charge.
Sounds
of
like a
the-
violation of some sort of constitutional rights, but
Mhm.
I mean,
No one
all of
cares.
prison is or a lot of the facets of prison can be a violation
Yeah.
of constitutional rights. So that's a whole separate conversation we don't have time for, unfortunately.
Exactly. But you know what I mean? So, but there's all kinds of things you can do here. They just offer a lot, but
Mhm.
but here I am a facilitator. So let me say this: I see it from the other side. I have a class maybe with 10 people on it. You go around the room. Well, why'd you take this class? Because I had to. The board stipulated. I wanted it to look good for the board. Well, I want to do something about my anger. I want to learn about my anger. And then you have those ones. Don't ask me any questions. I don't even want to be in this class.
Mhm.
What? But there's nothing that with the caseworkers, if they sign up, you have to let them in there. Unless they do something in that class, can you make them leave? I mean, they have to leave that class. So that's
Mhm.
kind of that's that thing too. And so it's kind of a blockage right there that sometimes it can be a hindrance to keep somebody else from growing.
Mhm.
But it's a mix. It's a mix. So I want to say not everybody in the classes is there for the right reason.
Mhm. Yeah.
And
Yeah. And I'm sure that's any class you take anywhere you're at.
Yeah.
Right.
And I don't want to get into gossip or anything. I'm sure a lot of people want to know, what you know about different people, but I don't want to go there.
I'm a gossiper. That's why we're boring. That's why nobody's watching us right now. That's why nobody's watching us right now except for Dad. No, just
well,
playing.
they probably heard me talk and think, man, she's just a rattle box. I got to get off here.
Oh, no,
No.
it's not that. There's actually some
There-
other streams that are going on right now that are active in the community.
Yeah. And like Laura said, we're not dishing the gossip. So I'm just not a real gossiper, you know. I mean, I think, can you? Here's what I'll do. I'll do a compromise.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Can you just give us a general outlook of the prisoners on Gypsy Rose and her situation? Just a quick
What
general
their thought process
Yeah, what their
on
thought
it.
process
I'd
is.
love to.
Okay.
Actually,
And the
I'd love
guards.
to because I've heard it, and I've heard this. So this is here, I guess, would be hearsay. But here's what I'm gonna say. What I think about it too. We had with somebody that was here that I didn't see. I don't think that watching the program, she didn't do much while she was here. If you have the status that she had, that could have helped everybody here. There's a lot of things that need to be changed here. There's a lot of reform that needs to be done here. Baby, you just told me that she went on with the Kardashians right there. Where was it about prison reform? Did they talk about? Not that. Okay, was it? I talked about. I put in a paper for it, but I didn't get into it. So let's work on some people getting into there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think that was ever mentioned. So here that is. So is it about you and where you're going, or is it about somewhere you just left that you should know and know for a fact what things are done here? Unless you lived inside such a little bubble, you didn't come outside of it.
Which I think she kind of did.
Yeah, and that's what I'm going to get into. So here's what people have said inside these walls is that sometimes she was not even, able to come out and associate. Or there was times that, that she was maybe pampered. There was times that even the guards, that if you did anything, what would be the retaliation? So you come into a place like this, and you were used to a life being pampered and everything coming. You get the same thing here, from what I understand. With people still glamoring you, and then you go out there and you feed the same thing over and over again. Where you had a perfect opportunity to help so many people. I just don't understand it, and neither does anybody else here. There's people that are sitting here on sentences that, wasn't even involved or wasn't even there, let alone being there.
Yeah.
But I know that the court, and on the things that I saw, that they said something like, because of her, all the things that she went through. Hey, listen, there's a lot of women that went through a lot of things in life. Not only at the hands of a mother, a hands of a father, maybe a hands of a brother, an uncle. What about those?
Yeah.
Where's fairness in that?
Absolutely.
And I tell you, being in WP, that we did Codependency No More by Melanie Beatty. In chapter 9, there it was all the things that codependents go through, and it just woke my eyes up. Like, I had been through all this, and that's who I had become, and went through the addiction and everything else. Well, I decided, to leave that. But when you come in here to a place like that, and you keep feeding those things in your life, and the unhealthiness, well, that's what you're going to get out of it, is unhealthiness. And just like anybody, when people do talk about it, like, what's she doing now? What's she doing now? It's been a crazy whirlwind.
Yeah.
And there's people. I mean, you're making money and money and money, and I'm not counting the money. I'm counting the money like it's just you're feeding the same things that went on forever and
Feeding
ever
the
and ever.
beast.
But feeding the beast, and there's what classes has she taken out there? What is she doing to help herself? I don't know. I think, I know that Kardashian and them, they're, the reform thing is something big to her. So somebody that's been here and absolutely has that platform, it's sad that they just walked away and left it all.
Mm-hmm. Left everybody behind in their inner dust.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to go, if you wanted something bad enough with your history, if you are on any type of medication at all, if you're on medication, then you're open up to mental health for sure.
Wow.
What about, helping other people not to do these things, and instead of, I'm going to go here, going on your interview and saying, well, get my good side.
What good side? I'm sorry, that was rude.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
So
she wasted her time.
Yeah.
I have a question that's less Gypsy Rose centered, but just so you and I haven't actually really gotten to speak at all, really, but my mom will come and tell me like random little like tidbits of information stuff, and she had mentioned that you got some of the killers or infamous people that are there that have movies or documentaries made on them and stuff. She said that they might have like a special name like VIPs or MVPs or something, and that they're kind of treated differently. I feel like you said that at one point in time, and I don't know
different
how.
events.
Different events.
Have.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't have a bunch of context to it. Are they just treated differently? Do they have, people that are infamous and well known, whether it be by guards or other prisoners, held on a pedestal of some sort?
It's just like out there, if you live in a neighborhood, if you go to a high school and there's somebody like that, how well they're treated.
But even those people doing these heinous things, they're treated better just because they're known. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
And here's okay, like women's empowerment, for instance, my caseworker, people drop kites to say, they're interested. Well, you have to be a level 3, and then that's just that you're on mental health meds or whatever. Mm-hmm. But so if you come over here, we're in a two man cells, right? And we're a small housing unit, and there's only this housing unit here, 8 house, has the 2-man cells. That they're wet cells with a restroom, with a toilet and a sink in your room with 2 people. Mm-hmm. So all the other housing units have 4 people, and the restrooms are they're not wet cells, they're out in the hall. So a lot of people want to come over here, whether they have a bad room, maybe they have a girlfriend on this side of the camp that they want, or some people that really want it. So if you go back to my caseworker, and she interviews you, and you got pulled, and you've been accepted you're on the waiting list. Well, when it's time for us to get new people, you have an interview, and you can come back in front of her, and just like anywhere else. Well, this is what I want. This is what I really, really want, and this is why I want it. I think it would be good for me. And she'd be like, well, yeah, I think that would really be good for you. You're right. Well, you're going to come on up. And then as soon as you get here, you cause the more chaos, and you just came over here for your girlfriend, and that, so that goes on a lot here. And I'm saying that because if you're one of those people and you go back into a caseworker, well, I've been here for a long time, and I've done all these things, and I just want to do this, and I just want to do that, and they believe you. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's no reason for them not to believe you. Mm-hmm. But then when you get in here, or you get away from them, you cause more chaos and discontent than anybody else. Mm-hmm. And we see it over and over again. Mm-hmm. But it's like they don't see it until it's a mess. Mm-hmm. It's a mess. Mm-hmm.
Now,
and everybody's put together. There's no separation here.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure people are wondering, have you had any issues like, I know most people, when they think of prison, they think of being scared. Is that something that you deal with? Or, I mean, I know I know your background. I could have sworn Shelly would have been in the hole the whole time for fighting. I just knew.
Like I said, like I said, I don't even cuss anymore.
I know.
So, if somebody wants to argue with me, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. No, I'm not. And we see it all the time, and it's a big thing here. In this program, if you're in this program, but you're here, you get in a fight, you go to the hole, you lose your program. I've seen two ladies go to the hole over a 30-cent pin. They get a program filter. And one of our classes are communication, conflict management, resiliency, assert yourself. But they're in here and they got in a fight over a 30-cent pin. Yeah.
Wow.
And lost the program. It's you got to put it into practice. You got to put it into practice. And we say that so almost we're blue in the face sometimes. But you can take all the classes in the world and not get one thing out of them. You got to put it into practice.
Yeah.
Yeah. No
Absolutely.
doubt. No doubt.
And,
Okay.
it's not like fighting and the things. It goes on all the time over the craziest stuff. Like, you could talk about whatever. You talk about me, my children, my mama, my daddy, my grandma. It's not going to bother me. Screaming in my face. If you hit me, I'm laying on the ground like a puppy dog. And you can go the whole. I don't have to. You don't have to prove anything here. And I think that's a matter of, if you can't handle yourself in here, how are you going to handle yourself out there?
No, yeah. Yeah. And people may think that sounds the opposite, but no, you're right. I mean, if you're in a confined environment with a whole bunch of people and you can't take care of your own self and keep yourself in check, when you get out there with a whole world at your feet and lots of people to tick you off, where there's not a guard there to break it up.
And we're always going to have a boss. People are like, they're not going to tell me what to do. Well, if you have a job, they're going to tell you what to do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, or a landlord or whatever. There's always some kind of rules and regulations you got to follow.
Yeah, no matter where you're at.
A lot of people say my freedom was you can think of this place like a gated community and still survive. An all-girls college. Sometimes that's what it feels like. Sometimes daycare, sometimes a college.
Well, I know they call it Chilly Willy because it's like a summer camp over there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah, people are blown away. People are blown away when they hear about your privileges and things like that, the tablets and
I don't have an iPad. Shoot. Damn. No.
We get TVs, we get channels, and then here goes this thing, like, they're spending how much, $20,000 a shot to let people be here that don't want to be who they were no more.
Yeah. Yeah, and you've got a few people who are going through transition there or pretending to be. Isn't there one person that's like just there because they don't want to get beat up in the men's prison?
Yeah, I'm sure that was it. Yeah, and you want to be a woman. Well, they'll come to prison. They'll pray for her. I'm sure there's people trying to get into prison right now that want to transgender because they could get here and get it paid for.
That is true. That's true. There's some pretty crazy people out there.
If you can't afford insurance, come on.
I'm staying out of that part of the conversation.
Hey, it just is
that's
what
a whole
it is.
nother conversation.
Yeah, that's
But okay, so we're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to talk about what the future looks like for you, and talk about the new class that you're going to be taking, because that's really what I wanted to focus on more, but I wanted to get your story out there. So we'll probably, have a few calls like this. That way we can really just get into, what's going on with you and what you're learning. But we're going to take a break, and we're going to listen to Single This Summer by Matt Oakley. and stay tuned, and we'll be right back.
Bar stools, cigarette smoke, where the dive bar band's playing all the wrong notes. Them dollar bills still hanging on the wall. This ain't no place for her kind at all. She had them red bottoms on in this blue collar town. There's only two reasons why girls like her come around. She either took a wrong turn back in Austin, or she's looking for love cause she lost it. We were two flames burning, red wine and bourbon, leaning on each other for a little southern comfort, just trying to set the mood right under the neon moonlight. She was chasing that freedom, love a man, leave him, trying to make her mine by the end of the night. I'm a good line away from her number, trying to keep her from being single this summer. Sunsets and sunrise nights have never been my thing. Hell, they might just be what I need after all. Hell, you can't find love till you fall. She ain't used to red dirt roads, but for what it's worth, feel like home in the middle of the soul bench seat. Every song brings it closer to me. We were two flames burning, red wine and bourbon, leaning on each other for a little southern comfort, just trying to set the mood right under the neon moonlight. She was chasing that freedom, love a man, leave him, trying to make her mine by the end of the night. I'm a good line away from her number, trying to keep her from being single this summer. We were two flames burning, red wine and bourbon, leaning on each other for a little southern comfort, just trying to set the moon right under the neon moonlights. She was chasing that freedom, love a man, leave him, trying to make her mine by the end of the night. I'm a good line away from her number, trying to keep her from being single this summer. Single this summer.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at nbradio.us.
Hello, and welcome back to Into the Weeds podcast here on Military Broadcast Radio. We are speaking to Audra Joyce, our cousin who's incarcerated in Chillicothe Women's Prison here in Missouri for 25 years. And Shelley, so we are getting back into the discussion, and we wanted to talk about what your future looks like. Now, you have gone through an appeal, and you're waiting for that. So if you could talk about that, and then talk about the class that you're taking.
All right. Well, I got my appeal in. We're waiting now. April 30th, we had court. So they got both proposals in. We're asking. My lawyer's got his in. The prosecuting attorney's got his in, and so we are just waiting now for them to make a decision, and it is under advisement right now.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see, hopefully soon, that they get that. And here's what I know. if whether I am here or whether I walk out, I know now that I'm Lord's not done with me. I got so much more to do, and I can do the same things in here that I can do out there. And I wrote this little on a little paper in my book, and it says there is a point in recovery when we must get beyond mere self-examination. We need to stop talking about our problems and take concrete steps to change. That's where I'm at.
Mm-hmm.
And my future is where do I want to be? You know, I can say that I want to get out here and I want to change the world. But here's the thing. I want to get out here and be sure-footed as a deer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And to make sure, you know, so some of the first steps if I walk out of this place tomorrow, so to say, I need the first thing, I need to find me a church home.
Mm-hmm.
I need to have me a counselor. And I need to have me a support group.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And you need to be away from all those people that you're around before.
Need to just move to a different city,
you know,
different state if you need to.
Right. And even with, you know, with I haven't seen my kids. I haven't seen my grandkids. But, you know, if I don't take the proper steps of making sure that I'm sure-footed, what if a problem arises and I don't have that counselor and I don't have my church body, if I don't have my support group, I need to put them steps in.
Yeah.
And I also need to have them accountability partners. I need to have my mother. I need to have my cousin. I need to have my sister, you know, that everybody knows what's going on in my life, that I have
100%.
somebody to be accountable to. And so that's some of my most important things to do when I get out of here first is make sure that, you know, and I have to have a job. And, you know, I'm not thinking that I'm going to get out of here and life's going to be easy and life has just changed. And, you know, I'm secure with who I am. I'm secure with what I've done. And I'll say this, it wasn't till Jessica's death did I realize that we're not promised tomorrow. Did I know that? Yeah, but it was my wake-up call.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It was the thing that kept me moving. Like, where am I going to go?
Mm-hmm.
I had to question that for myself, and so that's where all these things come. I do want to be out there. I do want to be active in my community. I do want to be active in the, you know, maybe the courts or the jails to say, listen, don't do this. You have a second chance.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here it is. You know, and I'm kind of surprised with me that I had the first charges, like I said, that I wasn't charged till after I got here on the little bit of things. You know, I was left sitting out there like a sitting duck, like here, you know, just because them charges were there. I didn't have, you know, I know we're innocent until proven guilty, but I should have been, you know, maybe made to do some classes or do something and
some preventative maintenance.
Preventative, yes, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, and even for that girl that has a like with Jeff, you know, with her a restraining order. Well, let's get you in something that can help you not go back to that. Not just not treat it. You know, we're just treating the symptoms when we slap. You know, we don't go down to the causes and the roots of these things. And that's where education, I want to keep on the education thing. I want to be able to not just, you know, the ICVC, to educate, you know, victims' impact on the crime on the impact, you know, not just myself, but other people. Like here's the signs for this. Here's the things to keep this from happening. Here's the signs for your children. Or, you know, maybe, you know, getting in our community and saying, hey, let's do this. Let's, you know, being involved in the city council meetings and those things, and saying, let's try this. Hey, you know, by being there, I know those signs. So let's, you know, this person, let's do this with them. Maybe it's something else different. But so not only do I want to, you know, I want to be active in those things. I want to be active in all the way around. Support groups. My church, you know, just feeling a part again that left behind because I used to volunteer, I used to do those things, but, life just changed. I'm in that class, and this is kind of funny, I'm in that cognitive self-change class, and that's where I'm at in that class is writing my life story. This kind of brought about this, and I'm like, whoa, this is the first time I've actually had to sit down and do this. But it's challenging. It's challenging. It's challenging, and what to how to change our thoughts, our healthier ways to do it. So it works on self-change program, thinking reports. We do thinking practice logs. We do a criminal inventory. Self-management plans. Thinking errors. Type of boundaries. How do you feel? The ball of your feelings. You're avoiding accountability, common life goals, mandatory, reading, and doing all those things, makes me accountable for where I am, what I'm doing, and I can take this into this class and say, here's what I'm thinking. This is a small group class. I love the small group, the smaller classes, because there's a lot more interaction, it seems like. So I'm excited about that. All the classes here, like I said, so many of them, cognitive behavioral therapy. I want to get all the education I can while I'm here. Not just that the healthier me makes a healthier family, friends, and others around me. That's where my prevention is going to be in going back to the things I did. Going back, being around the people. Listen, healthy people attract healthy people, sort of say. Unhealthy people are going to attract unhealthy people.
Yeah,
it's true.
And even here in prison, I can see that. Like, if people are being crazy, I don't spend much time out in the day room around everybody. I don't want to be engaged or involved. The food talk, the course shows, all those things. I don't need to glorify my past in any type of way. I heard a lot of people that I don't even know. I never, nor did I ever think about that I heard. I heard our community. I cost them money. I kept them from maybe implementing programs in our community because of the money they spent on watching me. I prevented them to having concerts in the park because the funding wasn't there, or maybe getting a slide or anything like that. But those are the things I think about now. I think about those people, and what about their children, their children, their children, and what about all the officers that spent the time, watching my house that wasn't able to go to their son's football game, their grandson's soccer game. That's what I think about, and I don't want that history repeat itself again and again and again.
Yeah, definitely.
And like I said in the beginning, strong but dysfunctional, and I carried it over. My children, in some ways I destroyed their lives in so many ways, and I'm, even with Jessica, what we emulate, our children imitate, she went through that domestic and all those things. I've been through that. My children watched me go through that, which made them absolutely dysfunctional, and who is it affecting now is my grandchildren.
Yeah.
And I know that that's not who I was created to be. That's not who I am, and that's not who I'm going to be.
Amen.
And sometimes it takes a time out in the wilderness, sort of say, in exile, that he can work where he can work. And I was there, and I've been there, and I'm there, and I'm going to keep on doing these things. And when I get out, and I know I have to remember that it's going to be a step by, concrete steps to change.
Yeah.
I can't expect it to change everything to be okay. You know, I'm going to have to keep putting one foot in front of the other to do these things, not just for myself, but for my family, and those around me.
Yeah. You have to make a conscious effort.
Yeah, and hopefully go back in the communities and be an active part of them, and help make these changes and help, you know, the community eye opener, and with all the education I'm getting here and hopefully being out there and helping them be on the other side and saying, listen, this is what I see, you know, this is what we can do, or maybe you can look into this. That's not, you know, we're from different places and different backgrounds, and that's what it takes. It takes a whole team of people to change things. And I want to be a part of that team.
That's awesome.
It's so great to hear.
That's awesome, and I'm excited for you, and I can't wait to see what happens. And we're going to bring Shelly back on another time to really get into more of what's going on in prison and what she's learning, because I think it's very valuable. She's taught me some stuff, you know, and the Bible study that we do every week has just been absolutely phenomenal. And I've told Shelly this before, you know, it's almost been a blessing that she's been in prison to me, because, you know, I've gotten back into church. I've gotten reignited in my faith and passion for doing things again. And it's all because of Shelly's encouragement and love that I'm doing better.
I've got the Bible studies here, and he's used me here, but a friend of mine here gave me a little notebook. She made me a little notebook, and I want to read what she wrote in it if we have time.
We have just
like 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, she said, I think you are a beautiful, shining, golden, sparkling utensil for the Lord.
Oh.
And I know He is using you for many good things in this prison, preparing you for even better things for when you leave. I am honored and feel blessed to call you my friend.
Oh, that's awesome.
That's so sweet.
And yeah, I've told people on the podcast before, I've spoken to 2 other prisoners there in Chillicothe, and your example has been such an encouragement to them. And we just want you to keep on doing what you're doing. And so don't hang up, Shelly, because I want to talk to you afterwards. But everybody, thank you for joining us here on Into the Weeds podcast on Military Broadcast Radio. And we hope you have a wonderful week and go out and do something great. Change the world.
Absolutely. And no matter where you're at.
Thank you, Laura.
And no matter where you're at, you can always make a difference. Even a life sentence isn't a death sentence.
Amen.
So,
ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them.